Do you know how there are some lessons in life that change the trajectory of your life? Well, what I want to talk about today is one of those things that changed my career in sales. I had been selling for about 5 years in terms of outside sales, business to business, me calling on sales reps, talking about our story, trying to push a product, and doing my best and wondering, what am I doing wrong? My sales were fine. Out of 35 sales reps, I was ranked 28th, which is fine. But you know what? I'm a competitive athlete. I don't want fine. I always like to win. I like to be number one. If I can't be, at least in the top 5 or the top 10%. And I wasn't there. So I met with a sales manager who said, Neil, let me share a couple things with you. You've got energy, personality, integrity, trust, and a number of things, including energy and the willingness to become excellent. You've got a lot of things that really could help you become a champion in sales. And what you're doing right now is pushing product. He said, I want you to turn this around, become a student of the sport, and watch what most of the best salespeople do at our company. He said, I taught them along the way about consultative selling. I looked at him, I was like, consultative selling, I don't know what that is. He said, well, think about any situation you've been in, perhaps to buy a car or to look at a house that was for sale, or anytime you've been in a store when the salesperson comes up and tries to push too hard. Oh, you got to buy this car. It's on sale today. It won't be there tomorrow. Blah, blah, blah. Little things like that. Or even a realtor, a pushy realtor saying, if you don't buy this today, it will not be here next week. This is the deal of a lifetime. So I want you to think about that because you may have been through that experience. How do you feel? Don't you feel like they're pushing what they want on you? And unfortunately, that's what my prospects were feeling because I was coming in to talk about our growth fund since I was a wholesaler working for a money management firm, or I want to talk about our government fund. But it was bass backwards, wasn't it? Think of a waiter. Waiter comes to your table. If he or she says, oh, let me tell you about our steaks and our pork chops and how great they are, but you're a vegetarian, didn't they just kind of blow it? Because they're talking about things that you don't even care about, compared to an excellent waiter who comes over and says, good evening, thank you for joining us. What are you craving this evening? What type of food would you like to hear about? We have everything. We have fish and meats and pastas and some of the best in the city. What are you craving? What did you come here for? And then zips the lips and pays attention. Consultative selling, and I hate to use the word selling in this, I'd rather call it consultative conversations, is much like that. It's asking really good questions to discover the needs of your prospect. So with that, when I was meeting with a prospect for the first time, I would call for a 10-minute appointment. And I'll do another video on that later. And what I would ask is, I promise you only 10 minutes because I want to respect your time and we don't know each other. So with that, would you share 5 minutes with me? Tell me about your business. What are you doing? What's working? What isn't working? And perhaps, how can I help? Now, obviously, many of these were referrals from other clients, personal introductions. So we already had some trust built in. And they would tell me about their business, and I would just listen. I wouldn't jump in. I wouldn't interject. Part of consultative conversations is that you've got to listen really well. And I want you to keep this in mind. Write this down. Listen and silent have the same 6 letters. They're just rearranged. We cannot listen unless we're silent. So keep that in mind. So as a consultant, when I was going through this training, the sales manager said, here are a number of questions that we ask that really opens up a dialogue and gets people to talk about them and about their needs. I will tell you right now, that was a game changer for me because in the next 5 years, I helped my clients sell over $1 billion in products to their clients. So you see, I didn't say I sold $1 billion. I helped my clients bring in $1 billion in revenue by helping their clients reach their goals. So that was a huge difference because now, as I went around my territory, I was not looked at as, oh my gosh, here comes another sales rep. Here comes another wholesaler offering golf balls and all this other gadgets and just want to chat. When my clients saw me, they called me Mr. Value Added and Mr. Win-Win because every time I showed up, I would ask them questions about what's working and I would share success stories based on their needs. If they told me, Neil, I'm really trying to get more referrals, I'd say, well, sure. Let me tell you about a client I worked with in Springfield. And they didn't know how to ask for referrals. So here's what I gave them. And I would give them a 5-minute story on how to ask for referrals with a variety of examples. The reason they called me Mr. Win-Win was because it was my license plate on my brand new Mercedes-Benz. And my attitude was, how can I help you reach your goals? Tell me what is missing. Tell me what you need from me. Again, see what I'm doing here. I'm playing the role of a trusted consultant, a trusted business partner. So they looked at me totally different from all my competitors because all my competitors would walk in and pitch a product. And you see, buyers aren't really looking for another pushy sales rep. They are looking for a consultant, an expert in the industry who can guide them towards what's going to be best for them. I gave a training session on consultative selling several years ago. And after the call, or after we did this on Zoom, one of the salesmen stayed by and he said, Neil, I have never heard of consultative selling. I'm going to keep that in mind. He called me back a week later and he said, I called on a prospect whom I have called on for 5 years and never got $1 of business. So I thought, let me turn this around and let me try this Neil Wood consultative selling stuff. I didn't design it. It was designed a long time ago, but that's how we refer to it. He said, Neil, I asked questions about her business, her goals, what's working, what isn't working, what's the best way I could help. He said, I asked her if we had a magic wand and you could just wave that wand and have these issues disappear and these successes appear, what would they be? And he just listened. Remember, listen and silent, right? As I mentioned earlier. And he said, we had the best conversation in 5 years. And at the end of it, she said, based on what you've told me, which was based on what I told you I need, I'd like to place an order. And she placed an order for something like $10,000. So he was so excited. He said, Neil, like I said, I never even heard about this. I was taught to show up, pitch a product. And he said, the problem was every time I pitched a product, it had nothing to do with what her goals or needs are. And he said, going forward, I'm going to be more of a consultant and not a pushy sales rep that's in a hurry to push a product and walk out. So it was a game changer, not only for him, but as I told you, for me. Remember, I raised $1 billion in 5 years, changed the trajectory of my life. So keep that in mind. If you'd like a list of questions that I ask my clients to get them to open up, or my prospects to get them to open up and have more of a conversation, I'll gladly share those with you. By the way, remember I always ask for a 10-minute appointment? I would set my running watch to 10 minutes. And there was a countdown. As we got close to 8, I'd say, Julia, thank you so much for your time. It's been 8 minutes. I promised you 10. So in the last 2 minutes, let me just give you an idea that has worked for so many of my clients. And so many times, the person I was talking to would say, no, this is really good. Do you know why? Because I was listening, which is what the other sales reps weren't doing. So many times I say, could you stay a little while longer? I'd say, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. I'd happy to brainstorm and collaborate with you and see how I can help you in other areas that you're facing some challenges with. That's the difference. So I want you to think about consultative selling. It is the presentation I have done more times than anything else. I would say consultative selling and presentation skills for excellence. But consultative selling, I can speak to so much from my heart because it worked for me and it worked for my clients. And isn't that what we're here for? Is to help our clients grow their business and solve some of their problems to help them grow it even more. All right, DM me. Let me know what I can do to help you out. Have a good day.